Halfswords' newest update is completely broken. Get it? With Halfswords' newest update, the ability to dislocate bones or snapping them has been added, also including the brand new content the devs have given us, but more on that later. And let me just say this, Halfswords Grappling is 100 times better. That's right, you can now do hip throws. I've only recently learned how to do this, which means I'm not exactly the master of spin jitsu. On second thought. And the brand new ability to fold people in half is absolutely my favourite thing to do. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how you can do these tricks, whilst also covering the new content you may have missed out. The hip throw, with added flair. Now let me say this clearly, the hip throw is not exactly the easiest thing, but I will try my best to explain this the easiest way possible. I first start by grabbing his left hand. Why the left hand? Because the camera's placement makes it easier to hold him. Now with my right hand, I aim to grab his elbow. This image shows a perfect example of what I'm explaining. And you might be wondering why you need a specific grip for this throw. So let me explain. Willie's center of mass is right here. Using my right hand to seize his elbow gives me the ability to control his center of mass. This is because his elbow or upper arm is closer to his center of mass other than his hand. So grabbing his hand with both your hands will not get him off the ground. I've already tried this multiple times and it has not worked as much as getting the grip on his elbow. Now once you have a secure grip, you want to create space between you and Willie by stepping backwards. This also causes Willie to step forwards due to the momentum. And at this point you should run forward to this direction. Willie should now be looking at the back of your bald head, which means you've done this correctly. Now by flicking your camera up to the left, you should be able to have his arm on your shoulder. Now by simply turning and crouching, you should look like this. Notice as I'm bending my knees, his knees are forced to bend as well. This is the main thing you want to happen. If he doesn't bend his knees, you have to readjust your grip. And make sure you're constantly pulling his wrist down like I am. Now by pulling his hand down and spinning as quick as you can, you will perform the hip throw. But you might have noticed, what's the point if it does 0 damage? Well, that's when you add the flair. Thanks to a wise teacher and Halfswords' new mechanic of breaking limbs, the stepover is now insanely lethal, and is surprisingly the easiest skill I've ever learned. Now before you learn how to do a stepover, you must know how to control your legs. And what I mean by this is knowing which leg your Willie's gonna kick. So how do you identify which leg your character's gonna kick? Well, it's simple. As you can see, my character's left leg is further back than my right one. This means I'll be kicking with my left leg, and it's vice versa if my right leg is further back than my left one. Now to choose which leg you want to kick with, you simply just turn. For example, turning to the left brings my right foot back, and turning to the right brings my left foot back. Now in this example, I'll be using my left foot to kick. As you can tell, my left foot is extended forward, so turning to the right means I'll be wrapping my left leg around his arm. And just like that, you've done a stepover. Now depending on how fast your spin was, you might have already broken his arm. Unless you haven't, pressing both your mouse buttons will increase the tension of your grip, and doing a small turn will definitely break his arm. Now I highly do recommend to improvise with a hip throw, because you can end up having a clip like this.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Or a clip like this. Basically the hip throw is just a really fun maneuver. But let me teach you my favourite move of all time, which I like to call the human fold. Or mainly known as a slam, as the slightest mistake may cause you to do this.
Coward!
Which in my opinion is still pretty cool. The slam mainly focuses on lifting up the enemy Willie, then quickly slamming them in the ground. And obviously depending on the angle of your Willie, you might be able to break his back. So let's learn it. For this example, I'll be targeting his left leg. Now I first start off by running towards Willie to gain momentum, and knowing the fact that crouching makes you slower, whilst also having a delay, I crouch beforehand. Now as my Willie begins to descend, I aim to grab his left knee with both my hands. After successfully grabbing his leg, I uncrouch and then run to the left. Willie begins to realise the gravity of the situation, making him fall off balance, hence giving us control. By holding both the mouse buttons, which brings our arms to our chest, gives us the strength we need to lift Willie off the ground. Whilst holding both my mouse buttons, I bring my camera up and then quickly down, like if I was slamming something in the ground. Luckily enough, I was able to break his back. And if you're playing in free mode, I highly suggest changing your height and your weight just to gain that muscle. Okay, not that much. You might end up breaking someone's neck just by pushing them, so I recommend do not put it too high. But like I said, I highly recommend experimenting with all these moves because you can literally throw people across the map. Now if you're struggling with your camera control, I recommend turning down your lock-on strength to gain more freedom. And unless you enjoy suffering, I also recommend turning down your damage to player. High sensitivity also helps to get more stronger slams. Now, let's move on to the new content. Now I'm sure you know about the new map called The Pit, and we can all agree that it's a really cool map. I mean, you can literally fly now. Now obviously this is a glitch, which works on both slums and the pit, and also rocks too. But it's more inconsistent because you'll end up looking like this. But either way, flying is completely safe. Now with Halfswords news update, they added the ability to break bones, which means there is now a slider for this, and I highly recommend to not put this to the max. Now from what I understand, the higher rank you are, the longer you can make your sword. Now the developers have also removed the feature of auto parrying. This means that your willy will no longer try and protect himself. But this also gives us fluid movement. Shields now have artwork on them, which I find pretty cool, but I'm not going to show them all because there's way too many. And yes, Old Willy has been added back. And if you believe I missed out on anything, feel free to comment down below. Thank you and goodbye.